Hey everybody, this is Shanice Wright from the Garrison Public Affairs Office, and on this week's episode, we sat down with experts to talk about pet policy and what is and is not allowed at the Great Place. All that and more on this week's episode of the Great Big Podcast. Today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your role as far as restrictions, guidelines, policies, pet policy on the installation.
So my name is Luis Miranda. I am the Chief of Housing for the installation. Some of them are responsibilities that are the unaccompanied housing day-to-day operations as far as the Army Barracks Management Program is concerned. The unaccompanied housing branch provide the oversight for all the barracks across the installation. As far as on-post housing is concerned, we provide oversight in accordance with the legal document, and we also provide, we are concerned with providing the best housing possible for our soldiers and their families. The Residential Community Initiative branch from my housing division provides quality assurance inspections for every house before the house the lease is signed for by the soldier and their family.
Okay, so you mentioned barracks earlier. We're very, very proud and happy and excited about all of the renovations, upgrades, and everything being done for the single soldiers in the barracks. However, what is the pet policy for barracks living?
Well, the pet policy for the barracks is very simple. There is no pets allowed in the barracks. And for the simple reasons is because the health and welfare, the sanitary conditions. Barracks are not designed for pets. The barracks are designed for the day-to-day living of our soldiers and to ensure that we provide the space necessary for the soldiers to reside. There is not enough space for pets in the barracks.
So you touched on some initial reasons why the policy is in place, but what are some more important or general restrictions as to why the policy is needed?
Some of the general reasons for is health and welfare. Our soldiers' sanitary conditions has to be at the highest level because of the space requirements. Therefore, the sanitary conditions that will pair like a dog when living in the barracks, it will not be conducive for a pet to be living in there because there is no place designed for the pet to go outside or to use the bathroom, and there is no place inside to use the bathroom for that pet. So that's the reason that the barracks are not conducive for pets.
Okay, understood. Have you seen any situations where pets were in the barracks, and how was that handled?
I have never experienced or found a pet residing in the barracks. However, for the same reasons that I mentioned before, health, welfare, and sanitary conditions for the soldiers inside the barracks, that is very important. We cannot have pets living in the barracks because it will not be conducive for good health and sanitary conditions inside the building.
Okay. Is there any exceptions for service pets, service dogs?
Service animals, there are certain exceptions that it can be approved by the garrison commander. Of course, there are other people involved in the process, like the public health command, because they had to conduct an inspection of the barracks before that can be approved. But the garrison commander has the ability to approve a service animal in the barracks. Not something that it will be easy to obtain, but there is an exception that can be approved by the garrison commander.
Okay, can you clarify the difference between the guidelines for, say, an emotional support animal and a service animal?
So a service animal is trained to do certain tasks in related to the soldier condition. For example, is the soldier for one reason or another lost sight. So that means that service animal is basically trained to make sure that that the service dog becomes the eyes for the soldier. So he's trained to do a certain task. An emotional animal is considered a pet. That's what they consider. and they are there, they are present because it makes the individual feel at ease because of mental issues or mental health issues or any other conditions, but it's not trained to do certain things. It's just there as accompanying that individual.
Okay. Good information. We appreciate you being on, letting us know about those very, very important guidelines and the reasons why they're in place. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me, and I look forward to being here in the future again.
All right. Don't go anywhere. One more guest talking about pet policy right here, the Great Big Podcast. Hey, Chris, it's nice to see you again.
It's good to see you as well, Janice, again.
All right, so today we're talking pet policy for, restrictions and guidelines for housing. So tell us a little bit about that.
So our policies, of course, are referenced in the Cavalry Family Housing Resident Guide, as well as our universal lease. But we are nested, our policies are nested with the Army's policy that come out of the garrison and the Corps.
Okay. Well, I am myself an animal lover. I do have a fur baby, but also live off the installation. So I'm sure that the guidelines may differ living on post. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we love our pets in Cavalry Family Housing. I'll talk about a fostering program later on. But our residents, they're in accordance with the regulations and the rules that we have here on post. They're allowed to have 2 pets, either a dog or a cat. Small animals such as birds and fish and guinea pigs are allowed as long as they're properly cared for. That's very, very important. And also they're properly caged and secured as well.
Are there any specific breeds that are restricted?
Yeah, so when you get your leasing documents, there is a list of restricted breeds of dogs and other pets within our animal policy inside of Cavalry Family Housing. Again, they can be found in both the lease and in the resident guide. These restrictions also include any dogs with a mix of any of those aforementioned restricted breeds that we've got. Those breeds include the American Pit Bull, the Doberman, the Chow Chow, and a few others. Our community managers and our leasing agents can help answer any question that a resident or a potential resident may have.
Okay. So oftentimes our pets are part of our family and they move with military families. So what are the guidelines and procedures for registering your new pet?
That's a good question. So per our regulation and our policies, all cats and dogs have to be registered at the Cavazos Vet Service Office within 45 days of assignment to a home. Cats and dogs must be microchipped and wear a collar with the home address. So if they get lost and we have to call animal control in, we can find out who the fur baby belongs to and get it reunited with their owner. A copy of that verification of appropriate immunizations along with the pet registration and a photo of the pet must be provided to the community office so we can put it into the residence file, and we know where the fur baby belongs to, which resident it belongs to. Just wanted to mention too that dog owners on post also have the responsibility to always secure their pets, no unleashed dogs, as well as policing up waste, both in common areas and in and around their house as well.
So what happens if a family is found to have an unauthorized pet?
That's a good question. So if there is an unauthorized pet, loose dog roaming around, any animal concern or complaint, it should be directed to the MPs and also to the DPW work order hotline. That's 254-287-2113. The Army is contracted with Clean Animal Control. And as for the unauthorized pets, once we are made aware, the resident is asked to remove the pet or animal. And if the resident refuses to remove the pet or animal, then we contact the appropriate authorities to help with the removal of the animal for the safety of the family and other residents, and other pets for that matter too.
Understood. Is there anything else going on that you want to highlight as far as Cavalry Family Housing?
Well, the one thing I wanted to mention was I mentioned this up front about the 2-pet policy, untypical cat and dog inside the house. There are exceptions to the policy, and we are very interested in abandonment of pets. Abandonment, first of all, is prohibited here on post. I think there are a lot of pets, and you can check with the vet clinic later on when you talk to them about how many pets are abandoned on post every year. So Cavalry Family Housing has partnered with an organization called Pack for Animals, and Pack for Animals provides emergency pet fostering care for military personnel that get sick, they get deployed, wherever. And there are exceptions if you want to be a foster parent for one of these pets, for a soldier that's being deployed to Korea, soldier gets sick. In working with pack for animals, there's an exception to go from 2 pets up to 3 pets, and that is approved by the leadership of Cavalry Family Housing. If you have any questions about pack for animals, residents or anyone else that's interested can contact our community managers or our leasing managers about more information regarding pack for animals.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, the only other thing I just want to give a shout out and a heads up to to everyone listening here today is with regards to the Fort Cavazos award-winning National Night Out, which is scheduled for the 1st of October at the Phantom Warrior Stadium. It's always a great event. We've won national awards for Fort Cavazos and Cavalry Family Housing the last 14 years, and this one's going to be a great event. Again, it's going to be on the 1st of October. It's for all residents who live on Fort Cavazos, and we got thousands that come out, and we look forward to putting on another great show this year in October.
We're looking forward to being there and celebrating that honor once again.
Thanks, Janice, for your time.
Thank you for being here. More on pet policy coming right up. Well, hello, Captain Holt. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
And tell us a little bit about what you do there.
Okay, so I am the branch chief currently of what we call the Fort Cavazos Veterinary Services branch. We're within the Veterinary Readiness Activity Fort Cavazos that covers multiple installations like Fort Sill, Fort Bliss, and so on. So I oversee the Fort Cavazos Veterinary Center and the OIC who manages it, as well as more of our food mission on post.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about the veterinary services that are offered at the center.
Sure. So we do offer your normal wellness and sick call appointments. These are all scheduled ahead of time, so we do not offer walk-in appointments. But we do offer those scheduled as well as technician appointments. And I love the technician appointments because that allows people to come in for booster vaccines as long as they have been seen by us within the past year with a doctor wellness appointment. Then they can come in for booster vaccines as well as nail trims. Other things that sometimes they'll come in for are microchips if they just need to have that put in, a fecal test run, things like that and so forth. As well as we do offer a lot of different procedure options. So we offer spays, neuter procedures, as well as mask removals and dental cleanings with dental extractions. So those are offered for both dogs and cats.
And who are those services available to?
So they're available to our active duty service members and their dependents, as well as for our 100% medically retired veterans and retired veterans.
Okay. And what are the standard operating hours to get the procedures? Are there appointments required? Tell us a little bit about just the hours and when people can come in and get their pet service.
Right. So our front desk opens Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 0800. And then it'll close for lunch from 1200 to 1300. Afterwards, we're open from 1300 until 1600. On Thursdays, we do open a little bit later because we have to have our own time for our clinic meeting every week. So we open at 09, and then we will close for lunch again at 1200 to 1300. And then end of day is at 1600 again. Occasionally, we do have our inventory days at the end of every month. So the last business day of the month, we do have to either do a half-day closure or a full-day closure. So sometimes those can throw people off as well.
So I know the center sees an abundance and a variety of animals, but what breeds are not or are prohibited on the installation?
So with the new animal policy on post, some breeds that are prohibited are Presso Canarios, Chow Chows. There's wolf and wolf hybrids, as well as pit bulls and Doberman are on that list. And that's not all of them. The list does include a few more. I would recommend, someone refer to that whole list to make sure.
And then there are certain exotic animals that people may not be sure about the guidelines for. Could you kind of give us a description of what that entails? What makes them an exotic animal?
Right. So exotic animals, these are typically ones that aren't found in the United States. This has changed over time, and in Texas, you've probably seen a lot of the game farms as well, where we have some more exotics. So things like ostrich, piranhas, different types of boas and pythons are prohibited, as well as some that we don't normally think about that are more in the wild and farm area. Ferrets, foxes are not also allowed on post to be brought in. Raccoons, things that really should be staying out in the wild and are not typical pets.
And how does the installation handle stray animals?
All right, so the veterinary center is not super involved with the handling of the stray animals, but for stray animals, I would recommend contacting the military police, or you can contact the DPW work phone. So the work phone number is given as well on that document. So I would recommend they reach out to that if they can't get into contact with the military police. And then from there, they're going to dispatch the stray animal workers as well to go out and procure that animal. From there, that animal is going to go to the stray animal facility on post, and that is run by the Killeen Animal Services. So that is not run by the veterinarians at all. And then at that point, they're going to hold that animal for about 3 working days. And then during those 3 working days, you can go and claim your animal if you have proof. But if those 3 working days pass by, then that animal is up to the Killeen Animal Services on what to do next. So that means that animal can be adopted out, transferred to another shelter, or potentially in certain cases euthanized as well.
Okay. Is there a role for the veterinary center in that process?
The only time we really get involved is if there's an issue with animal cruelty, or if we have concerns about they need a forensic investigation and their veterinarian is not on staff at that time.
Okay. What type of common health issues do you commonly see here on the installation when it comes to animals?
Right. So a lot of the things that affect humans can also affect animals. So allergies. So a bunch of people have allergies here, and so do our animals. So cats have it as well. Sometimes they hide it a little bit better. A lot of our cats stay inside. But a lot of dog owners know that as soon as they move here, they're going to start itching all over. And so a big thing that we see are skin allergies here. And so I always recommend for people, to come in if you have a concern about skin allergies. It's not always environmental. It can be food related. It could be flea related as well, or even drug related at certain times. But normally the top 2 things are environmental and food.
So that is something that the veterinary center can help address.
Exactly. So our sick call appointments are those that have more time dedicated for us to really work up the animal. So in that time, we can take samples from the animal, like hair samples, skin samples, to see do we have an infection going on, or is it purely allergies? Because we also do have different parasites in this area. And speaking of parasites, a second major problem we see is heartworm disease. So those are spread by mosquitoes, and here in Texas with our climate, we do have a lot of mosquitoes. Heartworm disease, once it is procured by an animal, it is only able to be treated and removed by a series of 3 injections. And during this time, that animal has to stay really calm and really relaxed because you don't want to put any undue stress on the heart that does have parasites within it at that time. So that is one thing that I always recommend people keep your animals on heartworm prevention all year round in this area. You just don't want to risk it, and you don't want to have to go through that stress, and you don't want that damage to happen to your pet's heart.
So just to note, are there fees involved with the services and the drugs and medicines that are given to animals?
Right, so there definitely are fees. So any services that are performed at the center are charged. So it is completely at the owner's expense. We don't take TRICARE. We don't have any other insurance options. We don't use, the other big one is Care Credit. So we don't use Care Credit either. So for that, it's all up front. That being said, we are a lot more affordable than off-post. So for example, our dentals go around $300 to $500. And that is a great price compared to what you can see off-post that sometimes is in the thousands. Blood work is significantly more affordable as well for us. Normally the top end is around like $100 for basic blood work. So that is a lot better than the $300 you get off post. For sure. Yeah.
I'm a pet owner, and I can attest that those prices are a lot more affordable.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So I know there's a lot of guidelines concerning pets with residents here on the installation. What about those visiting?
Right. So visitors have to be mindful that you have to register a pet within 14 days of them being on post. And the reason for that is we need to ensure that those pets are vaccinated, have microchips placed, are dewormed appropriately, have heartworm prevention on board as well. So for all of our animals on post, they have to basically have fecals to make sure that they don't have any parasites that they're going to be leaking around. So when you're bringing a pet onto post that's staying here for, 4 or 5 days, but we have 14 days to register, technically in that amount of time, you might not need to register your pet on post, but you really should make sure your pet is dewormed. Because if we have a bunch of pets coming on post that aren't dewormed, aren't on heartworm prevention, that's how you're going to start spreading gastrointestinal parasites as well as heartworm disease. Because the mosquito gets it from the infected animal, can carry it around, and eventually go and infect another animal.
So is there anything else that fur babies and pet lovers should know?
So for us, the biggest thing is come, give us grace. We schedule out about 2 weeks out at a time. We do have kind of an ebb and flow with our schedule because we are service members as well. So most of our doctors will PCS during the normal PCS seasons, which can be a little bit difficult during the summer months. So we do have a bunch of doctors that show up typically around October. So that's when we start to open up our schedule a lot more.
Oh, well, invaluable information
Right.
about pet policy, a lot of things that I didn't even know. So thanks so much for being here, Captain
Of course.
Holt. We
Thank
appreciate
you so
it.
much.
For more information on the installation's pet policy, see the notes in our link right below there. And you can also get more information on our social media websites and our website.
Okay, so maybe your commute doesn't look quite like this. But don't let the road throw you an unexpected curve. Many riders would tell you that riding in heavy traffic or on the freeway is the most dangerous thing people do routinely on a motorcycle. Not true. 73% of single rider mishaps happened on curves. Stay focused, stay aware, stay alive. Readiness through safety.
What an excellent podcast we just had talking about pet policy. And we have a special guest here to tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I'm Sergeant First Class Johnny Vargas. I'm stationed here at Fort Cavazos. And, I learned so much today that I wasn't planning on learning. And in my almost 12 years in the military, I didn't know half of those things. And honestly, I wish I had known earlier. And I would utilize those things. And now I can take this information back to my unit, tell my soldiers, and then hopefully take advantage of some of these services that they're allotted.
Yeah, definitely important to be responsible pet owners, and the Fort Cavazos Veterinary Center makes it easier and more affordable to do just that. And speaking of responsibilities, of course, I have to bring you guys the Fort Cavazos On Track Minute, chock full of all the things you need to know coming up. So to start, we have the Copperas Cove Medical Home closure. Copperas Cove Medical Home is temporarily closed. Patient care is now at Russell Collier Health Clinic. Also, the Community Strengths and Themes Assessment that Fort Cavazos is conducting to solicit more information about how they can service the community better is open now through September 30th, and responses are confidential. You can go to the Fort Cavazos website to find out more about that. Also, the Spouses Club sign-up event, which is Join the Fort Cavazos Spouses Club, super sign-up is on August 29th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Samuel Adams Brewhouse, so don't miss that. Also, the commissary Click-to-Go savings, first-time commissary Click-to-Go customers get $15 off their first $75 purchase from July 29th through August 27th, so you don't want to miss that. Save a little money. Sign up online or at the Clear Creek and Warrior Way commissaries. And lastly, we don't want you guys to forget about Tax-Free Weekend, August 9th through 11th. Save a little money before you have to buy all those back-to-school things for your kiddos. What do you think? Save a little money?
Oh yeah, always.
Do you have to buy any back to school gear?
It's a yes and no answer. My wife homeschools all 4 of our children,
Okay.
so yes.
Well, I'm sure she needs materials. And
Oh,
she
yeah,
get
of
them
course.
she can save a little money if she gets them during that weekend.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I got 4 kiddos, so they're growing like insane amounts every year. So definitely clothes, definitely school supplies, and all those things.
Right. So most of the time, people consider Mondays, ho-hum and just drab. But I like to use Mondays to get my week start off right and get motivated. So how do you usually start your weeks?
Yeah, a good Monday leads to a good Friday. So
I agree. I agree.
Over the weekends, I just use it as preventative maintenance type of stuff. Like I'm making sure I get my rest, maybe get an extra workout in, make sure you're eating well, and then, spend time with the family.
You speaking my language. I love to make sure I get my body moving at least 30 times. 4 to 5 days a week is what I'm pushing for. Make sure I drink water. Make sure that whatever I did last week, I try to do it a little bit better this week.
Yeah, I love the attitude.
Right. Can appreciate it, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys, it's been great, and we will see you next week on the Great Big Podcast.